old Appalachian ranges stretch like a sleeping beast across the land, ancient and silent, older than memory and soaked in secrets. Those who live in those hollows and ridges often say the mountains breathe, and sometimes if you stay too long, they breathe through you. I never believed those stories, not even after my grandfather muttered warnings about listening hills and voices not meant for humans. But belief doesn't care about what you think. Once the mountain chooses to show you something, your old reality breaks. Mine shattered one quiet autumn when I traveled back home after 10 long years away. I had left those woods behind for city life, university, and the kind of future my parents dreamed I'd chase. But when Mom passed unexpectedly, I had to return to take care of our old cabin tucked deep between spruce and hemlock, miles from the nearest town. It was supposed to be a quick trip, handle the property, tidy the land, and sell it. That was the plan. But nothing about that visit went according to plan, because the mountains had waited for me. The air was crisp when I arrived, a heavy stillness mixing with the scent of wood smoke and damp leaves. The cabin hadn't changed. Weather-worn logs, a front porch held up by the stubborn pride of tradition, and woods so thick behind it they seemed hungry, trunks crowding close like a barricade. The silence there isn't like other places. It has weight, like something watching, not menacing at first, just aware. The first night, I slept lightly, lulled by insects chirping, wind nudging branches. At around 2:37 a.m., everything stopped. Every cricket fell silent, every rustle paused. Even the wind died, as though the mountains held their breath. A soft humming drifted through the woods, slow and hollow, almost human, but not quite. It felt like a call, like something old and searching. I stayed completely still beneath my blankets, heart pounding. Then footsteps, heavy, too heavy to be a deer, moved in a slow circle around the cabin. Gravel crunched. A low voice murmured something in a language I didn't know. Not English, not Cherokee, nothing I had ever heard. I lay frozen until the sounds faded and the chorus of insects returned like nothing had happened. Morning sunlight comforted me, and I tried to brush it off, imagination mixed with grief, maybe. But deep down, I knew those mountains don't allow imagination to run wild. They feed it. That evening I walked to the spring behind the cabin to gather clear mountain water, like Mom used to. As I filled an old jug, I sensed something watching. The woods are full of eyes, birds, foxes, raccoons, but this was different. It felt deliberate. Intentional. When I turned, I glimpsed something pale between dark trees, too tall to be human, too thin, with limbs slightly wrong, like a memory of a person rather than a person. And when I blinked, it vanished into the timber. No footsteps, no sound. Just gone. Panic whispered in my ribs, but I hurried back to the cabin, trying to find logic. Stories came back. The ones the elders whispered. There are people up there who aren't people no more. Some called them watchers, others mountain-thin ones, some old spirits that wore flesh like borrowed coats. I used to laugh at these tales. Now I locked every door. Night came heavy again. Around 1 a.m., a tapping began on the window behind my bed. Soft at first. Tap, 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 tap. Then it grew louder, insistent. Something dragged its nails or fingers along the wood grain. My breath froze. I didn't look. I couldn't. The tapping stopped. Then from the porch, wood creaked, one slow step at a time. Whatever it was, it moved like it had all the time in the world, like it didn't need to rush because it already knew I was trapped. A voice called my name. Not shouted, whispered. My full name, perfectly pronounced. My mother's voice. My mom had been in the ground 3 weeks. She would never have knocked. She would never have whispered. The voice tried again, a trembling imitation, and something inside me turned to ice. My mother always said, "The mountain remembers you, baby. So don't go calling what you don't understand." I didn't answer. After a long silence, a sharp scrape clawed down the door, and the presence faded. At dawn, I found long scratch marks like someone dragged bone-thin fingers across the wood. By day 3, my nerves felt raw. I debated leaving, but unfinished business and guilt held me there. I climbed one of the ridges behind the cabin, hoping sunlight and fresh air would calm me. The higher I hiked, the quieter the world grew. Birds hushed, and even the wind felt hesitant. I came across a clearing I didn't remember from childhood, though an ancient stone ring lay there like a forgotten burial ground. Moss-covered rocks formed a circle, and the air tasted metallic. The trees leaned inward unnaturally, as though bending to listen. Whispers floated there, threading through the branches like smoke. Faint, eerie, overlapping, dozens of voices murmuring, human but not. I couldn't make out words, but they felt purposeful, ancient. A deep dread twisted my gut. Something about that place felt sacred and forbidden. I backed away slowly. Just before the trees swallowed me again, something caught my eye. A figure crouched between the stones, long limbs folded like a preying insect. It looked up, and I saw a face stretched too long, eyes black like polished river stones reflecting me back. No pupils, no whites, just bottomless void. I ran. Branches lashed my arms, sweat stung my eyes, roots tried to trip me. Behind me, I didn't hear pursuit, but the woods felt like they were moving with me, following, branches shivering in synchrony. When I burst from the tree-line, my lungs burned, and my vision tunneled with panic. I slammed inside the cabin and locked everything. That night was the worst. No tapping, no footsteps, just whispering. A chorus, like the clearing voices, followed me back. They circled the cabin, muttering, chanting, humming in that same eerie cadence. The cabin walls shuddered, glass rattled, air vibrated like sound pressed physical. And between it all, I heard my mother's voice again, but broken, distorted, like someone trying to remember how to be human. I curled on the floor, covered my ears, and prayed to a God I hadn't spoken to in years. Hours passed until the sound faded and dawn bled through the windows. I didn't sleep. By sunrise, I packed everything and fled, leaving the cabin keys swinging in the lock. I didn't stop driving until the mountains were distant shadows in the rear view. As soon as I hit cell service, my phone lit with missed calls from the sheriff, family, neighbors. One message stopped me cold. The sheriff said the old cabin line had been active at midnight, but the service to that landline had been cut years ago. 3 days later, I got a call from a nearby forest ranger. He'd gone to check on the property. The cabin was untouched, but he found something near the spring, a circle of tall, pale stones arranged around a pile of leaves and flowers, like some ritual offering. On the stones were marks carved deep, long scratch lines. 5 parallel grooves alike fingers. He asked if I had done it. I hadn't even stepped foot back since fleeing. I tried selling the land, but no buyer ever closed. The realtor said sometimes he hears humming on the property recordings, faint and unsettling. He avoids visiting now. He says the trees look like they shift position, just slightly, as though they watch. I live 3 states away today, but the mountains don't forget. Some nights, the insects in my city yard go silent all at once. The wind stops breathing. And sometimes, when the house creaks or shadows shift, I swear I hear a soft tapping and a voice whispering my name in a tone that's almost my mother's, but stretched wrong. There are places in this world older than sin and deeper than grief. Places that remember who lived among them, who left, and who owes them silence. If you ever find yourself deep in the Appalachian Mountains and the night suddenly goes quiet, don't speak. Don't answer voices you recognize. And above all, don't look at the windows. The mountains may be sleeping, but they dream, and they remember. And some things in those woods are still waiting for me. Or maybe they're already here.